second case. I would like you to pay attention from the beginning. The second case, or the second part, or the second explain in our lesson, which is here, the limison. Limison. Okay, and you know, this word is French, and we say it limison. Limison, same as what? Snails. So pay attention, please. This equation, this polar equation, written in this form, R equals either A plus or minus sine theta, or R equals A plus or minus cosine what? Cosine theta.
Mister, your sound is very low.
Hmm? Yes? Then I would like to draw this table. Firstly, we have to write here the ratio
Mr.
between A and B. There is B here.
Mr. We can't hear you.
Yeah,
Your
there is B here.
sound so low.
What? Take this form, which is R equals A plus B sine theta, and A plus B or minus B cosine theta. Okay. Okay, so we have to find first the ratio between A and B, because we have four kinds of limison questions, or graphs, or curves. The first one, which is the ratio between A and B, A over B without signs, is less than 1. Okay, A over B is what? Is less than 1. And ya Shawqi, if A over B exactly 1, and if A over B, the ratio between A over B without signs, between 1 and 2, and if the ratio between A and B is greater than or exactly 2. So we have 4 cases according to the ratio between A and B. The shape in this case, in each case. The shape when it's A over B less than 1 is called inner loop. It's called what? Inner loop. And it's what diagram? The diagram will be like this. It's informal. For example, when we take the sign 1, and we know that sign is on the y-axis, so let's draw it here. The inner loop type. When the graph here of inner loop is what? Is look like here. Let's change the color, yes. And then the graph will be like this, guys. And we have a loop here, like this, and then it's a circle. It should be above what? Above the x-axis. Okay? It's not really accurate, but we will see how to do it exactly on the next questions, on the examples. When A over B, the ratio of A over B, discarding the signs of A and B, is 1. It's what? Cardioid. Cardioid. Okay? It's what, guys? Cardioid. Again, what's the name of the equation? It's cardioid. What's the shape? بيكون شبه إيه? Yes, there is no loop here between them, but the graph is here like this. The graph, which is what? Simply like the heart. Like the heart, guys. So from the upper part, it's a circle, and down here, it's what? It's a heart. Okay? Now, when the ratio between A and B, A over B, لقيتها between 1 and 2, so it's dimpled shape. Dimpled shape, or dimple, okay? And it's a shape here. The diagram, take this sign. أنا شغال على الساين, يعني على الواي axis. Okay, so when it's here, dimple, so like برضو it's a circle from the upper part here, but Yes, it's a circle like this, but it's come like this. يعني مش داخله زي هذه كده. There is no any sharp point inside the graph. It's just like a curve here like this inside. And finally, when the graph, when the ratio of A and B is exactly 2 or greater than 2, like 3, 4, 2.5, like this, it's called the convex. طبعا this word you will not find it in the book. Convex. وكاتب لك بس في الكتاب it's not inner lobe, not dimpled. Okay, it's a convex. How to be convex? What's the shape of convex? It's a circle, but one side of the circle, one part of the circle is going down here like this. For example, like this. تقريبا يعني for sine احنا شغالين for what? When it's a sine يعني عشان على y axis only. It's like this, but it's not here circle exactly يعني like this. Okay. Okay, so this table is very important to you guys. We are now in Limison polar equations. It's called what? Limison. Limison. هي أصلها French. يعني like snails. Okay, like the snail here. We have a loop inside, a circle. And the shape of the equation R equals A plus minus B sine theta, or R equals A plus minus B cosine theta. As you know from yesterday, that sine is always on the y-axis. Okay, so sine is here. Okay, like this. No, not like this. يعني on the y-axis. Let me erase only the circle. And let's see here. And we have like this, and then circle above here. And the cosine will be something like this, guys. يعني. Okay, let's see example. But before we leave this page, let's say, guys, that we have 4 types of shapes, or 4 types of equation. Sometimes it's what? Inner loop. When the ratio of A and B less than 1, it's cardioid. When it's 1, it's dimpled shape. When it's between 1 and 2, and it's greater than or 2, the ratio between A and B should be greater than 2. لو هي greater than 2 or exactly 2, so it's what? Convex shape of convex diagram. Convex diagram. For example, yes, it's a graph here. Let's take here. Next page. ناخد example. Yeah, this one. Graph here, R, graph this equation, it's a polar equation. R equals, I prepared here one question. R equals 1 minus 2 sine theta. And make sure, guys, that there is no any coefficient of theta. Okay? Because the number here that is coefficient to theta gives the number of loops you have. So how to do it? How to do this question? Yes, how to do this question?
Mr. repeat A over B first.
1A over B, so negative 1 over 2.
أيوة, خلينا نمشي step by step. At the right here, I will write all my information, which is أنا شغال y axis or x axis?
Y axis,
because it's a sine. Excellent, yeah, Mister. Yeah, is it up or down? يعني below the x axis or below or above the x axis? حسب الساين here, it's a negative.
Below.
Because below. It's a negative, so it's below the x axis. Yes, and كده عرفنا. طيب. The ratio between A and B, يعني A over B. A is 1. Pay attention please عشان ما حدش يسألني why Mr. it should be negative وكده. B is 2. ركز. B is what? B is 2. يبقى 1 over 2. 1 over 2 يعني less than 1. So what's the shape now? When A over B less than 1, so the first case, which is inner loop. So I'm gonna write here where لازم يطلع لي الدياجرام على شكل inner what? Inner loop. Okay. What else, guys? Pay attention, please. That A Where is it? It's here. Yes. A over B gives the shape. طيب الحاجات دي بقى مهمة اللي هي A plus B and A only and A minus B. Pay attention to graph quickly without drawing a table and using pi over 6 and their multiples. You can follow these steps here to graph. The first step to find the A plus B. Second step is to find the length of A. And the third step is to find the A minus B. So A plus B gives what here? Gives the height. Or gives the height. Or gives at the the graph stretches on the major axis or the main axis. How the graph stretches on the main axis. And because it's a sine, so I'm working on the y-axis in the negative part of the y-axis. So I'm gonna move down 3, اللي هي a plus b, 1 plus 2. Okay? Okay, طيب the value of a gives how the function, how the graph of this equation stretches on the opposite axis. On what? The opposite axis.
Opposite.
على الopposite يعني انت اصلا main axis is y, right? This is the main axis. The main axis. نشغل على y axis. طيب the opposite will be the x axis. A minus b gives the lower point. يعني قد ايه اللوب inside the circle. قد ايه اللوب لافف جوه السيركل. Lower what point or higher point حسب الايه shape of the graph. Let's graph it guys. Yes. Let's graph this equation. A minus 2 sine theta. A minus 2 sine theta is polar equation. We are graphing this equation on, let's bring here our what? Let's bring
graph.
Here, yes, our standard what?
Graph.
Standard graph عشان تكون accurate. معي. Yes, this one. تعالى يا مستر. Copy and paste. I'm gonna paste it here. Okay. يعني sorry guys بس هنروح عشان تبقى accurate بس. Yes. We'll erase this line first. خلاص راحت علي. Okay, how to graph it guys? Pay attention please. We will graph it in red. I said guys that the first step A plus B. What is A plus B in this equation? A is 1 and B is 2. خلي بالكم ماليش دخل بالساينس. So
Okay.
A plus B equals 1
3.
plus 2, which is 3.
So 3.
Yes. A equals 1 up here. This is the second step. The third step, A minus B. A minus B equals 1 minus 2 equals
Minus 1.
Yes, negative 1. So let's graph it. What does it mean by A plus B is 3? خلي بالكم احنا قلنا because it's negative عشان في هنا negative. So I will move below the x axis, the y axis. أيوة below the x axis on the y axis. يعني 0 and 3 and the negative 3 يعني. I'm gonna move down 1, 2, 3 and take a point.
Yes.
Okay, y3, which is how the graph is stretched on the main axis, and the main axis here is what? Is the y axis. Okay, شباب. Okay, then A stretches on the opposite axis. Where is the opposite axis? The x axis. Yes, on the x axis, I'm gonna move 2 units.
The one, the first
Clear.
circle and the
2 here. So 1, 2, and on the left side 1, 2. Okay, because it's 1. A is 1.
1 مستر.
Sorry.
yes.
A is 1, not 2. Yes, because A is 1, pay attention please. Because A is 1, هاخد 1 unit left, 1 unit right. And how the graph is stretches like this, right and left. Okay, and the A plus B gives how the graph is stretches on the major axis, y axis here. Now the loop, we know that the graph here is inner loop. So the loop here will be negative 1. Negative 1, where is negative 1? Here, right? Yeah, and then let's connect to the points. Let's connect to the points. I'm gonna move like this, counterclockwise, and then like this. All my direction should be counterclockwise. That's it. يعني. or we can erase it and do it again. يعني تكون إيه مظبوطة شوي اللوب نفسه. It should pass through يعني the center 0 0. It should pass through the center 0 0. So I have to move from 0 0. يعني you have to pass through 0 0. المرة الأولى كنت pass through 0 0. Yes, like this. And then pass again through 0 0. And the height should be the same here. And move down عشان أنا برسم بالبن مش مظبوط. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah, simply like this. So it's called inner loop. Inner loop. One more example, or repeat this again. This all for you guys. You should copy this all in your copybook, or you can take a screenshot here for your steps when you graph a Limison equation. Limison equation, and especially is inner loop. Okay, it's a Limison equation and it's inner loop. So our goal today, guys, is to graph the 4 cases of Limison polar equations. One more example. Graph ناخده على الكوساين. Graph here. It's a graph, this one. 4, no, this one. Type 3 plus graph R equals 3 plus 4 cosine theta. Make sure that it's a theta. يعني in pre-calculus, it's only theta. Okay? If we have here 2 or 3, it's so hard. You can't try it on the Desmos graphing calculator, or if you have a Texas graphing calculator. If we have 3 plus 4 cosine 3 theta, you will find this loop is 3 or 8 when it's even. أو مثلا لو هو 2 يبقى 4 loops inside the circle. Okay, but alhamdulillah, we have only one loop here. Let's find first here, guys, who can solve it? Yes, back.
Yes, I can.
التيبل بتاعنا الجميل. Ratio is A over B less than 1. Inner loop. A over B exactly 1 cardioid. A over B between 1 and 2. Dimpled shape. A over B greater than or equal to. So it's a convex. Yes. And in all of them, we should follow these steps. Here is the important step we have to do. Who would like to solve? The first step is to find.
I can.
No, it's inner loop.
يلا A over B. What's the
Mr.
value
It's
of A?
3 over 4. 3 over 4 equals 0.75, so it's inner loop.
Yeah,
Not
A
card.
over B. طيب A over B is equal to 0.75, which is less than 1. So we're still graphing the inner what?
Loop.
Inner what? Loop. برضه نسيت أسرق الجراف من ورا. طيب خلينا نعمل steps الأول. This is the first step. The second step is A equals 3 and B equals 4 and the ratio type. The second step, A plus
It is the X
A plus B
equals 3 plus 4.
3 plus 4 7.
لو هي 3 minus 4 اخذ هنا 3 برضه minus 4 يعني اخذ الساين اوف 4 نيجاتيف. No. خلي بالك 3 plus 4 which is 7. And step 3 is to find A minus. Yes, A minus B equals
A minus B.
3 minus 4 which is negative 1.
1. And A
طيب
alone.
بس اجيب الجراف اللذيذ السهل ده.
Okay.
I'm gonna copy it and paste it here. يلا. Okay, yeah, mister. Yes, how to graph it? On what's
And
the major
A
axis?
equals B.
What's the main axis?
X-axis.
X-axis, positive part of the x-axis, right?
Yes.
So because it's on the x-axis, opposite part of the x-axis, I have negative 1 and 7. So how many circles we have? 1, 2, 3,
7,
4,
sir.
5. We have to extend this one here. And here's 5, and here's what? 6, and here's what?
7.
Right? So let me say that I'm gonna move from 0, 0, the pole, I'm gonna move 7 circles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, okay? And take a point.
Yes.
which is a plus b. طيب a minus b
negative
-1.
1.
Where's
So
one?
1 then.
Yes.
On negative 1 on the x-axis.
هنا
Uh,
it's here, mister. You know why?
Hi.
Them are the same.
Yes.
R
Okay.
and the negative R. Okay, لأن هو أصلا inner loop, so it's gonna be like this. طيب, what's
Is
the
that
value of A? The value of A gives the distance or how the graph stretches on the opposite axis, on the y-axis,
so 3 on the y-axis? So
according to the value of A, which is 3.
3
So we have to move up 3 units,
and
3
Yes.
circles يعني ادي 1 2 3 and put
and
points
negative 3.
and move down 3 1 2 3. يبقى عملنا 3 حسب مين؟ حسب ال A يا شباب. عملنا ال 7 حسب مين؟ حسب the value of A and B. The value of A plus B. The loop here is what? Inside. The loop is always inside, and you know that the direction is to the right. So the loop is outside, inside, داخل جوا. Okay, it's
Yes.
inside the circle. So we have to connect the points. You have to pass through, no, you have to pass through the center and pass through all points you have. Yes. So here, I would like to move like this, guys, from 0 0. You can do it عادي. أو تكمل عادي، مش مهم، كده كده مش هتظهر أنت مشيت إزاي، كده كده أنت هتسلمني الجراف، مش فارق. So we have to graph like this, passing through now the center. You should passing through the pole or the center. Okay.
Okay.
And do it like this. This is two loops here. Because it's here, so I'm gonna move like this. Okay, and here like this. Do it first, and then connect this one here, and go back to this one. Yeah, it will be like this, guy. So it's inner loop. That's why we said it's inner loop. عشان كده بدل ما تحط negative 1 here, you put it as 1. عشان يكون inner what? Inner loop. And this is the graph. You can check here your graph by using your graphing calculator or Desmos graphing calculator on what? On Google. Any questions? Any questions?
Yes, mister. Why the value is -1 and we put it 1?
Yeah, the answer is -1, and I said now it's inner loop. The loop here should be inside the limit curve. Okay, and we have a loop, so the loop will be outside. It's called the inner loop. It will be inside because it's
Yes.
a -1 here. It's 1. If you remember from the first lesson, when I asked you to plot this polar coordinate -2 and 2, -2 and pi over 6, for example.
Yes.
So here is 2 and pi over 6, right?
Yes.
So where is -2 and pi over 6? Here,
Yes.
right? They have the same what? Representations. لما أخذنا إن البولار equation, البولار coordinates have many representations وكده في نفس الشيء. ماشي يا مستر؟ يعني هنا 0 1 1 و 0 is the same 0 and 1 is the same as 0 and the -1. This point is 0 and the -1, and this point is 0 يعني 1 -1 and 0 هنا 1 and 0 as r and theta. 1 and 0 degrees is the same as -1 and 0 degrees. They have the same representation. Okay, any question? So this is the second case, guys, when we have Limassol curves. The equation, the polar equation بتاخد الشكل ده اللي هو r equals a plus b sine theta or a plus b cosine theta. Any question? Any question?
No, clear, sir.
Okay, and yesterday we studied the rows curves, right? We still have one more what case, which is the infinite graph, or we name it what? Lemniscate. Okay, we name it what? Lemniscate. So we can name it here case 3, which is lemniscate. Lemniscates curves. So the equation comes in this form: r squared equals a squared sine theta, or r طبعا squared equals b squared cosine cosine
Theta.
2 theta. It's always
2.
2. It's always what? 2. So before you start to solve, you have to check if it's 2 or not. And you will find all questions including 2 theta. Okay, so when you see this equation or this form, like the linear equation, when you studied in grade 7, what's the first thing you studied, guys? You studied that the standard form of the linear equation is y equal mx plus b, or ax plus by equals c, صح? Here also we have another kind of equations or curves, lemniscate curves تبع البولار equations. بتاخد الشكل ده اللي هو r squared equal a squared sine 2 theta and r squared equals b squared cosine 2 theta. Also, I'm gonna write first the steps, write the features of these curves, how to solve it, how to graph it, and this all is informal graphs, not exact graphs. I have to find each point on the axis, pi over 6, pi over 2, pi over 3, pi over 2, and so on. لا, it's hard. It's gonna take a long time. It's so boring, guys. But here, this one is what is accurate, and in the same time, it's quick graph, or quick way. We'll draw first my table. Yeah, that's enough. Firstly, here I'm gonna write the equation. Here is the equation. Okay, and here, pay attention. These equations should be symmetric about, which is the first part of our lesson here in the book. Symmetric about, to test the symmetry, because in the textbook he's using only graphing by symmetry. And the symmetry, we have 3 forms of symmetry. يعني we have 3 types of symmetry. The point on the XY plane, زمان. لو قلت لك مثلا I have a point X and Y here, which is 1 and 2. And I would like to make a symmetry about the center, or about the Y-axis, يلا. How about the X-axis? If I have 3 types of symmetry, about the X-axis, about the Y-axis, and about the center or the pole here. So about the X-axis, this point 1 and 0, when we find its symmetry, yeah, it's here like this, for example. So it's gonna be -1 and it's gonna be 1 and the -2. Sorry, gonna be 1 and -2. Okay, in the 4th quadrant. لما نعمل لها symmetry on the about the x-axis. But the same point 1 and 2, for example, 1 and 2 here. This point, if we أنا شغال على الكوردينيت plane العادي الكارتيزيان coordinate x and y plane. If I have a symmetry about the y-axis, so we have reflection about y-axis. يعني. So
Yes.
what's gonna happen, guys?
-1, -1, 2.
-1 and 2. You just flip it here, and the point will be like this. But if we have a symmetry about the origin 0, 0, any point 1 and 2 here, any point 1 and 2 in this position, when you flip it, come here in the 3rd quadrant, which is -1 and -2. So every point x and y becomes -x and -y. Here is the same as rotating 180 degrees. Okay? حصل لها ايه؟ rotate 180 degrees, either counterclockwise or clockwise. But in 1 and 2 becomes -1 and 2 is reflection about the y-axis, or symmetry about y-axis, and it's rotate 90 degrees counterclockwise. We just change the x-coordinate. In the first case, when we have symmetry about the x-axis, the point will be in the 4th quadrant. It's what? 90 degrees rotation clockwise. So pay attention, guys. Here in also our lemniscate curves, we have symmetry, or we have to test the symmetry of the equation. How to test the symmetry of the equation? هعمل 3 tests. 3 what tests. The first one about what? About انا عامل about وانا عارف ان عندي 3 different tests about the pole هنا في الكوردينيت في البولار it's called the مش center اسمها pole, and about the polar axis which is the x-axis, and about the y-axis. Okay, you will find that and also we're gonna compare here according I'm gonna write here the diagram هيكون شكله ايه. Yes. Pay attention please. It's so easy بس ايه نفهم بس الرول. When the equation r squared equals a squared sine 2 theta, and when the equation is r squared equals a squared, why right here a b squared? A squared cosine 2 what? 2 theta. يلا. You will find that. What's the meaning of test the symmetry of a polar equation about the pole, about the center يعني. يعني replacing every r by negative r, and replacing every theta by negative theta بس. To test the symmetry, pay attention please, to test the symmetry about the pole, about the center, about the center like this one, we have to replace the theta by negative theta. And if you do so, we have r squared equals a squared sine 2 times the negative theta. And since sine is odd function, so gonna give us negative 2 sine 2 theta. So negative a squared sine 2 theta. طلع النيجاتيف بره. And now it's not the same. So it may or may not have, we have to say like this, it may or may not have a symmetry about the pole, or simply the pole. It's not important to you guys. I will not bring any questions about how to test the 3 tests here. So when it's r squared equals a squared sine 2 theta, symmetric about the pole. For r squared equals a squared cosine 2 theta, you will find that it's symmetric about the pole and about the polar axis. Polar axis اللي هو الاكس axis في النظام العادي الاكس واي plane. And number 3 about theta is equal to pi over 2. يعني about the y axis. بدل ما اقول كنت بقول هنا في coordinate plane about the y axis here in the second case. Now I'm gonna say about theta equals pi over 2, which is the same. بدل ما اقول x axis في اول case بقول about the polar axis in the polar equations. بدل ما اقول about the origin or center في ال coordinate plane, here I'm gonna say about the pole. Okay, the diagram of the first one, the diagram when it's r squared, when it's what? R squared, when it's r squared equals a squared sine 2 theta, it's gonna be like the infinity. And I said here it's symmetric about the pole, يعني like the third case. So about the center, يعني like this. And your graph gonna be here. I'm gonna move counterclockwise. Pay attention, please. Like the infinity sign. And the value of a, يعني احنا مشينا كده a units, a not a squared, and here a. مشيت كده من البول من السنتر a units, and مشيت down 8 units and symmetric about the pole. The graph of r a squared equals a squared cosine 2 theta is infinity and symmetric about the pole and the polar axis, and the y axis or theta equals pi over 2. يعني symmetric على الثلاثة. I have, because it's symmetric, it's gonna be a unit, an infinity sign or shape like this. And here is a, and here is negative a اللي هي a برضه. تمام؟ The summary of how to graph the lemniscate curves. This is the summary of graphing what? The lemniscate curves. Is it easy here? This is the easiest one of the 3 cases we have.
Yes, less information than the others.
Yeah, it's so important, guys, and I hope you to write this or take a screenshot. You will not find this summary in your textbook, okay? Excuse me, take a screenshot or write it. It's better to write it or take a screenshot, guys, في الكتاب في الكوبي بوك عندك أو في الجوال. because it's very, very important. The equation, how the symmetry of the equation when it's a sine or cosine, and the diagram. This all rules of how to graph the lemniscate curves. The lemniscate curves r squared equals a squared sine to theta. So I think that we started by r equals a number, theta equals an angle, r equals a sine or cosine theta. Yesterday this all. Then lower rose curves. Today we studied the Lemniscate curves, and the shape of the equation is here. A plus or minus b sine theta, r equals a plus minus b cosine theta. And here is the important table you have to know and to follow يعني. Find the answer. الستبس برضه بتاعتها. لازم تكتب التيبل ده مع الستبس. اخذنا 2 examples عليه. طب يلا ناخد example على Lemniscate curves.
Sir, I just have a question.
What?
You didn't tell us how to graph the other luminescent graphs. You only told us the inner loop.
2 today and 2
Yes,
yesterday.
Mr. But you didn't tell us how to graph the cardioid, the dimples, and the convex.
He is talking about the luminescence. We only take about the linear loop diagrams.
Yes, we talked about only the inner loops, and we didn't do one example for cardioid or dimple. Okay, don't worry, mister. I'm gonna give you examples. بس خلينا ناخد الأول examples على Lemniscate when it's r squared وكده. Okay, 1 minute please. When it's r squared, let us give here a graph or an example how to graph r squared equals a squared sine 2 theta. Like what here? Let's take مثلا 9 sine 2 theta. How to graph it? I'm going to start first by identifying the value of a, which is 3. Okay, because this one is a squared. And because it's a sine, so the main axis,
y-axis
is the y-axis. And sorry, and then it's symmetric about what? The pole, right? We write it's symmetric about the pole. Okay, and let's write also the important issue. We said, guys, it's a graph will be like this. So it's simple now to graph it. I'm gonna draw the coordinate plane. And then because here we are sine, so A is a 3. So you know when I have 1, 2, and 3 circle, so I will move on the third circle.
Yes.
I will grab this one, erase this one, sorry. And also bring the other graph. You know الجراف المظبوط بتاعنا هذا this one. Let's copy it and move back quickly because the period is finished. Sorry. Yes. يلا. Who can do it, guys? We have to move من 0 0. طيب. About what, guys, here? Sine to theta, right? So we have to move على pi over 4. Okay, pi over 4, and I'm gonna move here 3, 1, 2, 3, and put a dot. And على الناحية الثانية, mister, 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
Okay, and then connect to the points. You have to move like infinity. Okay, like infinity here. I'm gonna move like this, and then like this, and here like this. الجزء الأخير مظبوط شوية. Okay, مشينا كده 3 circles, and like this 3 circles. That's it. And here 3. And leave your answer like this. It's correct. When it's r squared, the 9 cosine to theta, you're gonna move 3 units, or 3 here and 3 here, and then make infinity. Okay, that's it.
Yeah.
And in the exercises, guys, of the book, there is no any questions about r squared. I think we have.
Mr. Next period, can you give us example of?
Yes, in the next we still have one more period. So
Yes.
I didn't
2 guys
understand
examples
that.
for dimple and convex and more examples about what we studied
last
this
one,
period.
please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
See you
Thank
inshallah
you.
in the sixth period. Goodbye.